welcome to the Purpose Over Profit podcast with Darren and Chris, where each week we discuss what it takes to live a life of purpose and profit and explore the lives of people trying to achieve just that.
Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profit podcast. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Darren Green.
Hi Chris, how you doing?
Very well, thank you, very well. Very excited today to bring you another guest, and today we're going to be talking to Emily Black. I first met Emily a couple of years back, actually. I first met her husband, actually, which we'll hopefully get on the podcast one day. But I met Emily through her husband, and Emily's got a fantastic business model. At that point, she's working on I think it was a Kickstarter campaign, which she'll talk to you about. And she also spoke to me about her passion as well. She's a primary teacher, business owner, and she's got a passion for basically helping children with their mindset. And Emily, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad. Was that an okay introduction?
Yes, perfect.
Try to keep that short and sweet. Emily, this is Darren. Darren's our co-host as well.
Hi, Darren.
Hi Emily, lovely to meet you.
Me too.
So what we normally try and do, Emily, to kick off the podcast, for our listeners, we try and give them a bit of an idea of your background. So what we'd like is, if it's possible for you, kind of talk around your background in business and also teaching, because I know you're a teacher, and kind of give us an idea of where you've come to from when your first business started to your second business and how it's evolved and how that works with your teaching aspect, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. So I suppose two things I've always been really passionate about are creativity. So I've always been really artistic and also working with children even before I was a teacher. So I did a fashion and business degree at university. And after doing that, I kind of struggled for a job really up in Scotland. Everything was down south, and decided that I could use my creative skills in the classroom. So went back to uni and did the postgrad in primary teaching. And got a job as a primary teacher. So I've loved doing that. I've always loved working with kids, and especially the pastoral side of being in a school, because I believe that the emotional welfare of our children is really the foundation that needs to be, there before learning can take place. So I've been happily doing that. And then we got married in 2013, and I actually made my own wedding invitations for it, and got a lot of feedback from people saying these were really unique and they hadn't seen ones like it before, because I make theirs. So that was how my first business started, really kind of as an accident, people wanting the wedding stationery. So set up Emily Rose, Emily spelled with an IE, which was my great idea at the time, but ended up confusing everyone as I spelled with a Y. So that kept me really busy. I did it part-time because I was full-time at school. So evenings and weekends before kids, you have all this time that was spent by me being creative and crafty.
It's all that free time you have at your doorstep when you don't have kids, yeah.
I know, crazy. So that went really well, and then from wedding stationery, it developed into other stationery products. And I suppose there was a theme underlying it all of positive thinking. I would do inspirational prints and cards. And that was really something that I've always tried to be positive, have the right mindset. So about 5 years, the business kind of went from strength to strength. We had a few celebrity customers when I started selling on Notting High Street. Fern Cotton's probably my biggest.
Wow.
I was going to ask if you could name drop any. I wasn't sure there. So Fern Cotton, wow.
Probably the top one. So she bought some tattoos, and we developed into a range of products, but again, they all had, the kind of positive theme to them.
It's this Fern Cotton. She does a lot of positive books, doesn't she? Is it Fern
she
Cotton?
does.
Yeah. She's got her own podcast as well, I think,
I suppose maybe that's why she liked the stuff, because she's similar mindset. So I actually ended up winning a competition to have a pop-up shop in Silverburn, which is anyone that doesn't know, big shopping centre in Glasgow, and that was over Christmas time, so it was good to, it was really busy there. We had it for 4 weeks, got to show the product to people who hadn't come across it online, and it gave us a bit of insight into retail and having the space there. And while we were also doing that, we'd opened up a bricks and mortar shop in Prestwick. So it was called Emily & Co, because it was started from my stationery business, but also we wanted to have some other brands selling as well, and I ran that with my mum and dad for nearly 2 years. And unfortunately we had to close it just over a year ago, just due to various things, the cost of running a shop where we hadn't been used to those overheads before, footfall. We were in a place that we thought would be really busy, but actually not many people knew about it. So it was the best decision then to just stop. So when I had my first son, Ollie, who's nearly 6, my focus kind of shifted from weddings a bit, and I began to think more about children and products that they use and how they develop and their happiness and stuff. And Arlo and Jude started about 2 years ago now. So that's where the business I'm currently at. But also my parents have always had their own businesses forever. So, since I've been around, they've had different restaurants. And my brother, who lives in Canada, he also has his own businesses. So it just seemed natural that I should do that as well as being employed.
Yeah.
But that would come. So I'm still part-time teacher 2 days, and Arlo and Jude takes up the rest of the time, and the boys.
So was that a natural transition then from the, closing down the shop, I guess, and right, okay, we're going to start something else in its place almost? Was that?
Yeah, it was. It just seemed to come naturally. Do you want me to talk about how the idea came about for Arlo and Jude now?
That'd be fantastic. I mean, I just love the fact, before we jump on, the fact that your mum and dad are basically got a business mindset and got all these businesses, and your brother as well. And your brother lives in Canada, did you say?
Yeah, he's in Canada. Yep.
Fantastic. And is the whole family pretty much entrepreneurs and business owners?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing, fantastic.
I never really saw them like that. They just had a restaurant or a shop, a deli. Mum and dad had when I was little as well, and that just, to me, I suppose that was I thought what everyone did, and just growing up around that, it just seemed that I would do the same in some aspect one day. So still doing the teaching because I do love that, but also wanted to have my own business as well.
Well, it is really interesting to listen to, because mostly a lot of people you speak to will say that their mum and dad had a 9-to-5 job, whatever else, and they see that as a kind of the norm. But you're saying it's the flip side, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And what was the hours were pretty unsociable. They were there, we do split shifts. There for lunchtime, come home for dinner, and then back out in the nighttime and weekends. We were there quite a lot. So it was. He was a chef for quite a while there as well, so he would be out a lot, and mum would be home, and different people looking after us. But it was that's all happy memories that we got to go and eat there all the time, obviously, which was great. I miss that.
What was their take on, I guess, this idea? You said you've always had this air of kind of positivity that you wanted to project in some way, shape, or form, and it feels like that's came out through your creative side. Through the various businesses. But where did that come through? I guess your family, what role did they play in that?
Yeah, I suppose it has come from them, just seeing the way that they handled different situations over life, and how passionate they were about the business. And even though having a restaurant is extremely hard job, and there's lots of problems that came along with it, they just dealt with it in a way that was really inspiring. They actually moved to Florida. They're back now, but they moved in 2005. So they've sold the restaurant and decided to open one in Tampa. So I think then I was like, wow, they were in their late 50s, early 60s, and they were moving across the world to just fulfill their dreams. And that's always been something that I thought, yeah, that's good. You've got 2 kids, here, but you're selling up the business, selling up our family home, and moving to America just to do something that they've always wanted to do. They love the sunshine, and it just makes sense. So they did that for 12 years, and then came back when I had the boys. They wanted to be closer to us. So I'm glad they did. It's stuck over there just now with all this going on. You don't know when you're going to see people again that are in countries.
Well, that's brilliant, and I guess that helps bring us up to speed then around the next kind of business model you're working on just now, the business idea around, you mentioned your boys as well. I don't know if you want to dive into that now. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so the idea actually came about when Ollie was about 4 years old. He's Oliver Jude. So Jude's his middle name, and then Arlo's my youngest, and that's where the name came from. I thought I'd go with Jude because it could be male or female rather than having the 2 boys' names. So when Ollie was about 4, it was the first time I noticed he was quite anxious and worried when I was going, or he was going somewhere, knew that I wasn't going with him. And there was a few times where I'd never really seen him like that, and he was, just didn't want to go and just got upset. And it actually brought back a lot of feelings and emotions from when I was younger. Being a bit similar, I was very shy throughout my whole childhood, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem. And I remember thinking, what do I do about this? Like, I don't really know how I can feel better. And as close as I was to my family, I didn't really ever feel I could talk to them about it. I just accepted that was the way I was, and I was going to struggle at things. So when I saw him being like this, I thought, right, we need to try something. And he's very creative as well. And at the time, he loved superheroes. And I thought, what could we do to help him feel a bit more confident? So I designed this T-shirt that had the word brave on it, because they've been quite in fashion or on trend over the past couple of years, motivational and inspirational words on clothing. But I thought that it's quite obvious, if the word's brave, everyone knows it, but could we do it in a different way that it's going to be a secret to him? So Ollie and I actually came up with a secret code, which is made up of symbols that are all child-friendly, kind of related to nature and the world around us, and a bit of fun. and I put the word brave on the t-shirt, but in the secret code. So got it printed, thought it looked really good, told him about it. And the first time he put it on, his shoulders went back, and whenever he wore it, he would just say, I am brave, as if he was affirming it to himself that he was brave. And he said it was almost like he was wearing an invisible cloak, and he felt really strong and powerful. So seeing his reaction to that, I then decided, right, this is something that could help others. And that's when I had the idea of doing the Kickstarter campaign to launch it, really, because the business wasn't really up and running. I didn't have much following on social media, and I thought this would be a good way to expose people to it and also gauge interest and see if it was going to be worthwhile, which it was. So we managed to meet our target, and that was the start of the business, really. People started following us on Facebook and Instagram. I think they were really excited that this was a new concept. It was something that hadn't really been done before. And really the term secret powers just means educating kids about the hidden powers that we all do have inside us, and how, if they don't feel they're confident, we can do things to help them feel confident and unleash the powers, if you like.
I think that's tremendous. I mean, especially listening to you. I mean, obviously, I've seen the campaign, I've seen the work, I've heard the passion. I met you in person as well. We were allowed to for coffees, which is great. And I remember you telling me around, and it's on your website actually, around the stats. We'll share the website near the end. But it's around the stats around there's 1 in 8 children that have kind of mental health disorders. And I think you mentioned as well, it's like free in every classroom. That can equate to.
Yep, quite a lot more now. I mean, over the last 12 months, I kind of dread to think actually what the stats are now. I'm sure they'll come out at some point. But yeah, 3 in every classroom. And actually in 2017, suicide was the biggest killer of boys and girls between age, I think it was 5 and 17 or something.
Well, I mean, that's quite harrowing to hear that. I mean, I do a lot of work with Crew's Bereavement Care, the charity there. Yeah. And I was interviewing some of their staff, and the people that work with the young children as well. And they'll say a young person who is a child that doesn't get any support at a certain age can go on to lead. Basically, it's a ripple effect of what could happen. They could easily not do well in school. They could have young children at a very young age, and all these mental disorders that could follow them on from that if they don't get any support. So something like that is just something that empowers children to feel that they've got a bit of confidence, so they can wear something and have that invisibility piece. It's phenomenal. I know Darren does a lot of work with values and goals and affirmations as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously touched on some somber stuff there, but when you were describing that business and how that's evolved, I had this big smile over my face. I've got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I felt that nervousness, last week when I'm going back into nursery, and for times with my 4-year-old, I can sense that, that nervousness, the kind of shoulders going quite tight, shying the head away, and just the concept of not. It's being out there for everyone to know about. Almost, it's like it's a hidden secret that we know about. Mum and dad. It's our own thing, but not everyone needs to know about it. And I just really love that. Kids love exploring, but love secrets and playing games and stuff. And that in itself it's such a great message, like the concept behind it. But I think creatively getting it into almost bringing it to a child's level. And meeting them where they are, they want to be curious and they want to have fun, and I love that. Absolutely love all of that.
Oh, thank you. What we've actually done now, just over the last few months, is developed a label that can go on either, if it's a t-shirt, it goes on the sleeve, or we've got new sweatshirts and it goes down the bottom. Where on the front, it's visible for everyone to see, is our logo. But if they flip it round, the word is there that's on the item of clothing. So brave or happy, so they weren't sure if someone asked and they wanted to explain to them what it was about, they could show them this label. And it's also a secret because it's hidden into their body, and they decide if they want to show anyone.
Well, I mean, I love the idea. I mean, you mentioned to me before, it's the fact that the children can pick their own kind of like prescribed messages you could create, if you like, which is fantastic. And even at the weekend, I might have a picture. My daughter was on the trampoline, and what we said to her before, like, pick whatever you want to wear, obviously, because she's old enough now. I'll show you this. So she picked this t-shirt. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I didn't purposely put this on her. I don't know if you can see that. Do you remember what that one is, that message? I don't know if you can see
That's a brave one.
Yeah, it's a brave one, yeah. But yeah, she picked it up as well. My son's got his as well, but she likes wearing it sometimes because our neighbour's kid was coming in next door and she hasn't really seen them that well, and she wanted to put a t-shirt on that gave her that bit of confidence. But again, that's not But that's not us projecting that or putting that on her. That's just picking a bit of clothing that gives her that confidence. And I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just in time for us having the chat as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad.
And you spoke around the kind of the affirmation points and all this kind of stuff. I mean, with the business model you've got just now, I had a bit of a look as well, and I've seen that you've expanded that, like you were saying, and I guess the help and support you give adults as well. I mean, do you want to talk around the kind of further support you can give adults as well?
Yeah, I've been surprised. Obviously, since the pandemic started nearly a year ago, it's been unbelievable how our sales have drastically grown, which I've been so grateful that we've had something that's helped. I mean, I think we've sent out over 5,000 worry dolls in the past year.
What is a worry doll, if you don't mind?
A worry doll, sorry. This was the second product after the t-shirts. It's just a little wooden doll that I hand paint and add the hair colour of the child, and then one of the symbols they choose to go on the tummy. So there's a copy of it on the website of what each symbol is from A to Z, and they can choose. And it comes in a little bag with a poem, and the poem is just really saying to them that I'm your little worry doll, you can talk to me. And the purpose of it is to tell the worry doll any worries they have before bedtime, put the doll under their pillow, and in the morning when they wake up, the worries will have hopefully gone. And I suppose I thought that would have really worked for me when I was younger, because I didn't want to speak to adults or even my brother about how I was feeling. But if it was just a little doll that I knew couldn't tell anyone else, that I could talk to, and also you could hold it in your hand, and that would have really helped, I think. So they have these, that's our bestseller now. They've gone crazy, and I've actually been surprised at the amount of adults that have bought them for themselves or for friends. It's a lot of nurses actually over the pandemic would order one for, and I suppose they're just people that were working on the front line were just desperate for something that they could, help. And it's quite nice to have something in your hand to hold, give it a squeeze. So they've definitely been the best seller. We also do affirmation cards that have a little inspirational saying on it, but also a word that's in the secret code that kids can work out what it says. We have pin badges that have things like I have secret powers on them. And something that I'm really proud of is our box of secret powers. It's a monthly subscription. So people will get sent one in the post, and inside is it focuses on a different emotion each month. So it might be self-esteem, and there's information about it, what we can do to increase it, and then every month they get an activity to do. So I provide all the materials for them to make something, and it's in relation to that emotion, and it's something they can keep and use to help them going forward. So it should always be there to help. And we're also working on at the moment, I'm hoping that I'll have a wellbeing kit, a Secret Powers wellbeing kit for schools and nurseries to use. So some products that can be in the classroom setting that the teacher can use if she wants, or they can just be there for kids to go and help themselves. Because I think most schools I've been in, they are doing amazingly well at making sure that the child's wellbeing is at the heart of everything, but there's not really many things for them to use, to help. We talk about it. At me as a teacher, I'll have circle time, and we talk a lot about emotions, and we talk about what we can do to help. But I think just having things that they can play with, or that they enjoy using, is going to be a real help, especially with all the kids going back after what's happened over the past year.
Well, I suppose if you're seeing that firsthand and you're in the classroom, you're getting to understand, what, and you're right around the tangible aspect. I mean, the worry doll for an adult sounds fantastic. I mean, I mentor like a school pupil was part of the MCR program, and she was talking, her heritage is Chinese, and she was talking about Chinese New Year. They put money in a red envelope, and they put the envelope under the pillow, and it's all that positive mindset, and whatever worries you've got, then it goes away. And it sounds like that concept has been transformed into the worry doll that then anyone can take on and own it and achieve something with it as well. And I think that's fantastic. And the idea of having that when you're older and passing on to somebody is just phenomenal. I think it's a brilliant concept.
There is this element of, from a coaching perspective, I affirm myself if I'm struggling with a client, if I'm kind of feeling insecure about am I helping them, am I supporting them as much as I can. But I love this concept of being a lamppost, that whatever age you are, if you went to a lamppost and just shared where you're at, how you feel, both the good and bad, is actually so powerful. And therefore I go, well, I'm better than a lamppost, surely. So that always gives me confidence. But I love that.
A bit better. But
it doesn't matter, I guess, whether you're a child or whether you're an adult. At whatever time, I guess, sharing the stuff that's inside of us is where that sits. If it sits inside of us, that's where I think the the difficulty lies, that's where the challenges can come. And I think just the power of sharing that to whatever, an object, a lamppost, is just so powerful. So I love that. Again, my earlier point around just bringing it down to, where's the child at? Where do they want to play? What is their mind at? And getting that same message across in a way that's just relatable. I love that.
Thank you.
And how have you found it then, the feedback you've received? Obviously, you're doing a lot for adults as well. I mean, how important do you think it is to give adults the power to be able to do this as well and actually look after themselves as well as their children as well?
Yeah, really important. And just what Darren was saying there about the lamppost thing, I still struggle sometimes with things that I think if I'd talked about things more when I was younger, it might not be so bad now. And definitely having just an object that they feel they can open up to, rather than, because not everyone is, even though I was close to mum and dad, I couldn't really, I wanted to share, I couldn't put into words, I suppose, how I was feeling. So I think helping parents now who maybe have their own issues, either with the product that they can use, because we do have a few of the adult t-shirts with the words on them, and actually the message from someone this morning just saying, please can you make one with strong for adults, because I really think it will help me. And if they are modelling it in front of their kids, and that's amazing. That's what really, I did a mental health course just over the past few months actually, and that was a big thing, that if kids are seeing their parents handle, even if they are upset or stressed and anxious, and then they see what they can do to try and make themselves feel better, that's what's going to help them going forward. So I think it's really important that the adults or the parents who are interested in our products, great if they're giving them to their kids to use, but if they're using them as well or showing them how to use them, that can only be a good thing.
Fantastic. So where do you see the business going from here? Obviously, I know you mentioned you're still teaching 2 days a week at the moment. Is that something you'll still see you'll continue in the future?
Yeah, I think I always see myself as in the classroom as well. I don't know if the business keeps growing the way it is, then it might need to be something that I take a break from for a while. But at the moment, it's, as you say, it's good to see it firsthand, what's going on in the classroom, how the kids are feeling. But our aim is just to continue to make products in a creative way. I think that's our unique selling point, that they're products that will help, yes, but they're also really suitable for kids. They are done in a creative way, and the children should find them fun to use. So just continue to do that, and I'm really excited about the wellbeing kits for schools and nurseries. I think I'm hoping as soon as maybe the next few weeks we can get them finalised and get some schools trial them out for us. We've already had a couple of orders from local primary schools for various things to use. I think they are thinking about when the kids are back, what's really going to help them settle back in. I don't know about you, Chris, but Ollie's just been back a week and he was so excited. Like Sunday night, it was like Christmas Eve, he couldn't wait. And I'd actually told him the Thursday before, you're going back to school on Monday, and he's been sleeping terribly since Christmas, really, since all this started again. And since Friday night, he slept all night. And on the Monday morning, he was really excited to go. But we were walking around to school and his head went down and said, what's wrong? And he said, I've just realised that I won't be with you all day. So I think the majority of kids are going to be so, mixture of emotions, are going to be so happy to be back and see their friends, but actually they've got used to being at home. We try and not have the news on and we don't talk about what's going on as much, but they are going to have picked up on issues that have been going on at home. And I just think, they are happy to be back, but they're also sad about leaving their family. Arlo's been upset every day because his big brother's back. It's so much going on in home and at school at the moment that I think we just need to continue to provide a service or a product that's going to help kids deal with all these crazy emotions that they're feeling just now.
Well, you're right, honestly, and obviously my son Jackson went back as well, and he probably slightly different actually. He was quite up for it and quite excited by it all, and he's been non-stop ever since, so it's been really good for him. I mean, his sister's primary 4, so she's missed him because that's her friend. It's not here because she's here just now. But what I would say is, like, I've even talked to students as well, and kids who are in, like, the person I mentor is it's third year, and she's struggling as well, and she's mentioned she's been struggling in all these kind of emotional issues I have, and I've heard from other parents whose child's going from primary 7 into first year and they're struggling with their well-being because they're missing that transition phase just now because everything's online. So I think anything you can do to put power in the hands of teachers and students and anyone is fantastic. I mean, going back to the cruise aspect, the stuff they do with the schools with children who've suffered a bereavement is phenomenal as well. So it's giving them as much power as possible, because if you can support them just now when they're going through this difficult time, it'll just pay so much rewards going forward. And it goes back to understanding your values, your goals, how you feel, affirmations, everything you guys all work on, including Darren. I think that's phenomenal. But what I just want to touch on something actually, because we spoke around subscriptions, we spoke around what you can buy, but obviously I've seen the stuff there for free as well. If people want to try it before they want to experience what your products are like, and I don't know if you want to talk around those kind of products.
Yeah, I'd like to have more on, but at the moment I think there's 3 or 4 things that people can download free of charge. And the first one came about after the Worry Dolls have been so successful. It's one where they can just design their own and talk about, for kids that like to, like I was, be creative. And my favourite subject was always literacy. I'd like to write stories about things so they can kind of bring their doll to life a bit more. So that was the first one. And then I'd tried to start to do a fortnightly email out to all our people that have signed up to the newsletters, and one of them was I was talking about what we can do to try and keep everyone positive during lockdown, and it was a happiness jar. So we've got one at home where you just get an old jar and bits of paper and write in happy memories that happen and put them in the jar. And we looked over it the other day, and it's just a nice thing to do. You remember it's so important to focus on the memories and the happy times, especially like holidays and birthday parties. Ollie's now going to have probably his second lockdown birthday soon, and he's really upset about that. But I reminded him, look how much you loved the first one. I filmed it actually, and we watched it the other day, and he was like, yeah, that was my best birthday. So even though they're not going to have all their friends in a hall with bounce castles, you still make the most out of it. So that was popular. Lots of people then shared pictures of their happiness jars that they've done over Christmas time. Ollie always in November, December is hyper with the excitement, and I'd written a guided meditation, the snowman one, it's nice to read before bed to try and settle them and calm them down. I've got a book that I use with the class quite a lot that's just, you can lie down in the gym hall, close their eyes and just listen to these meditations that help them relax. And do you remember, was there another one? I think there is another one. Can't remember what it is.
Yeah, there is another one actually. I'm just trying to remember. I've got it was a meditation. It was a Worry Dolls. The Worry Dolls. Yeah, no, I think there was. There was the labels. There was 3 from memory that I could see.
Yeah, that's them. So I'm planning on doing more, because I've been surprised at the amount of people that have downloaded them, and obviously everyone likes something that they don't need to pay for that's going to help them. So yeah, that's something we're going to develop a bit more as well.
And what's some of the things, like I think all of those things, as I said at the start, you've got another customer in me. Like I can't believe you were up in Silverburn and either Jill or I didn't see you over a 4-week period, because certainly before lockdown, I would say that's like a daily or daily place to visit. But yeah, I think in terms of being a parent over lockdown, what you've done, I mean, you created a business out of it. You've got, free resources there to help parents, I guess, during this period, you're developing products to be used in schools as well. I'd just be keen as one parent to another, I guess, to hear what are your kind of key lessons you would say you've taken away from lockdown in terms of, I guess, supporting our kids through this period. Because I guess where I'm coming from with that, there's a lot of this mixed, guilt or conflict between, I've got to be working and be, particularly, those that aren't on furlough, I've got to be working full time, or I've got to be driving my business, but I'm also a parent and potentially homeschooling as well. And with that conflict comes a kind of no-win scenario, because you're never completely present with either. So yeah, I'd just be keen to know. There's certainly been a growing feeling for me over the last couple of months around just being, recognizing that, yes, it's difficult for me, but actually I've had 30 odd years of development to be able to help manage some of my emotions and how I approach situations. My 4 and 3-year-old, this is like being a quarter of their life or a third of their life. So there's an expectation shift that I've made, but I'm just keen to understand a bit more about what are your key lessons for parents like me, I guess.
Okay, yeah, no, you made a good point about, I never thought of it that way actually, that we've had all these years and we've never really been through anything like this, thankfully, but our kids, especially the younger ones, you know, it's what they've known for the last a year, and I feel for all the mums who've had babies during the last year must be so hard. But I mean, we have our good days and our bad days as well. The first lockdown, when it was last March, April time, I mean, it was great. I can't believe the difference from how we felt then to this one. I suppose the weather has a massive part to play in it. I was looking back at pictures, and most nights we're out having a barbecue, cocktails in the garden, boys were running about in the paddling pool. I mean, we're well lucky that we had such great weather. Also, Ollie was still at nursery, so there wasn't the homeschooling to do then. This time round, it's been really hard, and I think Ollie, having started primary school in August and loved it, and then having to stop at Christmas and not go back, he has really struggled with that. Derek and I are lucky that we both, as much as I'm 2 days at school, I've only had to go in a few times to be in the hub to help out in school, and most of the stuff I do at home. He works from home as well, so we've managed to share that and give each other time to do what we need to do. If he'd been somewhere else working full time, I don't think I would have managed. Same for him. So we're lucky in that aspect. I've just tried to remind the boys that this isn't forever. I spend a lot of time, as I said, we watched a video from Ollie's birthday. The boys have loved doing that this past week. We've just looked at old photos, we've watched videos from previous birthdays and holidays, and we do things like the happiness jar. We talk about what we want to do when things are back to normal, and Ollie keeps saying he's desperate to get back to Tenerife, and when can we go on holiday, or even over to Arran. Just really trying to focus as much as possible on the good things, and when times are tough and he's having a meltdown or we're having a meltdown, you know, we just say that that's all right. This is it's all new to us. We haven't been through this before, and just try and make them see that we are finding it difficult. We know they are finding it difficult, and a better day is hopefully coming soon.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely advice.
Yeah. I love that as well. Yeah, I love the fact you're honest about how you have a meltdown as well. I think most of us here, parents, have a regular meltdown as well. I mean, but just before I come on this call, we're trying to do school stuff, and we had a bit of a meltdown between us, and we just calmed down and just kind of got over it. But you're right, it's just like Darren said, there's just too much stuff into the mix. Yeah. And sometimes you feel you've got to lead your best life, and it's just unachievable at times. You've got to try and do the best you can in a world that's quite tough at the moment.
Yeah.
Of course, no one's posting their meltdown parenting videos on Instagram, or do you know what? In the middle of this, Menda, I'm gonna take a picture of this. Let's take a meltdown selfie. It just doesn't happen. So therefore, everything's curated to be, oh, it's great, and therefore I feel like I've got to be great as a parent, and it's difficult at times.
Maybe that, yeah. I was going to say, maybe that's a missed opportunity. We should all join in here at the meltdown selfie moment.
Meltdown selfie. Hashtag. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, Emily, you're going to say something. I jumped in. Apologies.
No, I was just going to say that's true. And even I go on Instagram and I'm scrolling through things, and as you do, there's been a lot of days when I've thought, oh, like what they've done with their kids this morning, what they've created, how have they managed to make that amazing breakfast? And it does get you a bit down. So I'm all up for starting a hashtag meltdown selfie.
Right, let's do it. Let's do it. It's gonna. Let's start it, Chris. Hashtag meltdown selfie.
That's it. I mean, I listen to sometimes it's Smooth Radio and Mylene classes on. Sometimes she was talking about how she's got her kids doing these learning whatever it's a piano or whatever else. And she said, check out my Instagram. So I was on having a look, and every video is this fantastic, like playing the piano, all this lovely stuff. I'm like, where's the kind of the rawness of the meltdown, like you're saying? So yeah, I'm up for that. I'm up for that indeed. Yeah, it could be a new trend starting pretty soon. So yeah, to bring this all back actually, because obviously the podcast even is called Purpose Over Profit. And it sounds like from everything you've spoke around, from your passion, from a childhood, from your creativity, from being a teacher, from everything you're doing, it just sounds like there's so much potential in whatever you put your mindset to, and that's a positive mindset as well, which is fantastic. And I think I'm excited to figure out what's coming next. I'll see what's coming next as well with the growth of the business. But with you, do you see it as, what does purpose over profit mean to you, I guess, first of all?
Well, obviously having a business, you need to make a profit for it to keep going and be worthwhile. But for me, for any business, the purpose has always been what's kept me going. With Arlo and Jude, it makes me really excited to create new products that could potentially help hundreds or thousands of children. I also think it's important to give back, which is why we support quite a lot of mental health charities and we donate regularly to them. But the business has actually given me a purpose, and I think that's really helped me during these last 12 months. I would have struggled a lot more, I think, if I didn't have Arlo and Jude, because every day I've woke up with a purpose to keep the boys happy, obviously, but also to use my creative skills and put something out there that's potentially going to help all these other families that are going through this really tough time. So it's all about the purpose for me, really. I'm so glad and so grateful that it's been able to provide an income and hopefully help pay for all these holidays we're going to have next year. But yeah, the purpose is what keeps me going. And when I'm having a stressful day, or if things are hard, I can look out to my office that I've got in the garden and just think that in there's where I can really make a difference and help people.
Yeah, there's certainly something in there for me that is listening to you describe how you create new products and service. It's not about, oh, this will make a great amount of money. This will serve a lot of people. This will really help a lot of people. And I think hearing that, and I think there's probably something for all our listeners to be able to take there, is that if you genuinely are, if you're out there and purposeful about going and helping other people and help as many people as you can, then there will be a monetary aspect to that. You don't have to do that for free. That doesn't mean it's charity. And you're just a fantastic example of that. I've loved being able to listen and understand a bit more about your businesses and how they've evolved. But love the current business. And as you say, you've probably got another customer in me once I get off this call.
Great.
And if our listeners want to check it out, Emily, where can they find Arlo and Jude?
Yep, so our website is just www.arloandjude.com, and we're on Instagram and Facebook just under Arlo and Jude as well.
Fantastic. We'll put it in the show notes as well, but that's been fantastic. And honestly, it's been fantastic to talk to you. And like I say, just the positive work you're doing, from everything being in the classroom to everything you're putting out there, is tremendous. And it's complete kudos to you, especially during these harder times. And I'm sure you'll have many more customers after this podcast as well.
Thanks very much. That means a lot.
It's been great having you on, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Emily.
Bye-bye. As always, thank you so much for listening to the Pop Pod this week. If you'd like to leave a review or share the podcast with others, then that'd be awesome. You'll find us on Instagram at the Pop Pod, and on Facebook we have a community group called Purpose to Progress that anyone can join. And we'll be back every Monday with a new episode, but until then, stay on purpose, and we'll see you next week.